Hi, I'm Kevin Siepley. I'm the President and Dean of Ave Maria School of Law, and I have the pleasure today of being here with Sean Lux, who's a third-year student at Ave Law. Sean is scheduled to graduate in May of 2018. Sean is also a veteran of the United States Air Force, 5 years in the active and 4 years in the reserves, and he obtained the rank of Tech Sergeant. And Sean is also universally liked and respected here on campus as well as in the community. On campus, he's at the top of his class, and I actually selected him to be a student representative to one of our faculty committees. And in the community, both Sean and his wife, Debbie, started Collier County Honor Flight. The Honor Flight program takes veterans from our area up to the nation's capital to tour the war memorials, and then they bring them back home to the airport with a hero's welcome. The veterans and everybody associated with the program recognizes that it's an extraordinary, exceptional, very deeply moving experience. So Sean, on behalf of the school, I want to say thank you for everything you do for the school and for the community. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
So how is it, can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you one day found yourself raising your right hand to defend our country and our Constitution?
You know, that actually wasn't my first choice. Throughout all of my elementary and high school education, I had a goal of being a surgeon. I always wanted to plan on going to medical school, and unfortunately, when I got to college the first time around, something happened. I just didn't have the motivation it took to follow through and do well at college, and I really couldn't see myself being in school for the next 10 years. So when that indecision struck me, I decided to join the Air Force. And you know, because I come from a line of military members, it was a natural choice to go into the Air Force.
Where were some of your assignments and what were some of your duties?
Well, I started out, I spent a year in Keesler, at Keesler Air Force Base, Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi. And so I spent a year there learning electronics. And the next 3 years I spent at Mountain Home, Idaho. And there I worked on F-16s, worked on electronic warfare pods that go on the F-16s. So it's a system that'll prevent the aircraft from being shot down by enemy missiles.
Yeah, wow, very impressive. What were some of your accomplishments in the military that you're proud of?
I think the thing I'm most proud of is just serving my country, stepping out there, putting my life at risk at times, and just being there to step forward and do something for my country. Another thing I'm very proud of is that while I was in the Air Force, I did very well. You know, at the time, promotion levels aren't quite like they are today, and I made the rank of E5 while I was on active duty. I was selected within 3 years of service, which was remarkable at the time, so I was very proud of that.
Oh, very good. Did you find that the military instilled in you traits and characteristics about discipline or something that would be very transferable to being successful in law school and also being able to take your experience in the military into your practice of law?
Well, I think the main thing the Air Force instills in everyone is integrity. And you know, that's a key trait for any attorney. Make sure you do the right thing.
I hope so.
Exactly. So, you know, I had that driven into me for years, and that's how I've lived my life since then, and it's going to serve me as an attorney. Also, if you're going to be a member of the military, you better have some sense of commitment. And it definitely takes commitment to go through law school, to be successful in law school, and it's going to take that to build a successful practice.
Yeah, excellent. How did you come about being involved with the Honor Flight?
In 2012, my wife and I saw a documentary. There was a documentary named Honor Flight, which detailed what the program's all about. It followed a hub in Wisconsin, and that's where we first learned about this National Honor Flight program. And what it is, it's a tribute to our World War II veterans. And it started to serve our World War II veterans to give them all the opportunity to visit the memorials in DC. And we saw this, and we found out there was a chapter a couple hours north of here that served this entire area. So my wife and I volunteered for that chapter as guardians on one of their flights. And through the flight, we found out a couple things. One, we found out it was very rewarding. It's a great program, but we also found that the hub that was several hours north of here wasn't able to serve our area very well. There were only a couple people from Naples on the flight, and they both waited several years to get on the flight.
Wow.
So we came back home and immediately started making phone calls. How can we help? How can we get more flights, get more of our local veterans involved? And we met some resistance from the hub up north, so we contacted National and started our own.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
So that was almost exactly 4 years ago, and we have flown just under 1,000 veterans.
Wow. And your experience, how has it touched you?
Well, I've gotten better at time management. It's taken a lot of work to balance that with all the pressures of law school. But also, it's really given me a sense of history. I've gotten to hear so many stories, and so many stories of a different time. It truly was a different culture. That we call them the greatest generation for a reason. They had a different mindset, and it's so hard to understand what it really means to them to give them this honor flight. Many of them came back from the war 70 years ago and have totally forgotten about it. They don't talk about it. They packed up all their stuff in their closet when they got home and went back to work and never thought about it. And now, for them, as they're at the end of their lives, they're finding that it's very emotional, and it gives them a sense of closure to know that the current generation hasn't forgotten what they've done for us.
If years from now somebody is watching this film, what kind of advice would you want to give them, or what would you want them to take away from listening to you?
Well, I think what I've learned is I think it's most important to make sure you find a passion. Okay, find a passion in life and pursue it. I think a second thing that's very important is to do something that's going to give back to the community. And most importantly, I guess, if you can find those two, if those two can be the same thing, that's a wonderful thing to pursue, something that you're passionate about and helps society.
Well, thanks, Sean. It's a privilege to be associated with you. I'm very proud of you, and we're blessed to have you as part of our school.
I'm proud to be here. Thank you.